are from eternity, as the Holy and Great One commanded it in this vision. I saw in my sleep what I now will relate with a tongue of flesh, and with my breath, which the Great One has given to the mouth of men, that they might converse with it and understand it in their hearts, as he has created and given to men the power to understand the word of knowledge. Thus also he has created me and given me the power to upbraid the watchers, the sons of heaven. I have written your petition, and in my vision it appeared to me thus, that your petition will not be granted in all the days of the world, and that judgment has been passed over you, and nothing will be granted unto you. And from now on ye will not ascend into heaven to all eternity, and upon earth it has been decreed, they shall bind you for all the days of the world. But before this ye will have seen the destruction of your beloved children, and ye will not be able to possess them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. Your petition for them will not be granted unto you, nor the one for yourselves. And while ye are weeping and praying, ye cannot speak a single word from the writing which I have written. And the vision appeared to me thus: Behold, clouds in the vision invited me, and a fog invited me. And the course of the stars and lightning drove and pressed me, and the winds in the vision gave me wings and drove me. And they lifted me up into heaven, and I went till I approached near a wall which was built of crystals, and a tongue of fire surrounded it, and it began to cause me to fear. And I went into the tongue of fire and approached near to a large house, which was built of crystals, and the walls of this house were like a floor inlaid with crystals, and the groundwork was of crystals. The ceiling was like the course of the stars, and of the lightning, and cherubim of fire were between them, and their heaven was water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its doors burned with fire. And I went into this house, and it was hot like fire and cold like ice. And there was nothing pleasant, and no life in it. Fear covered me, and trembling seized me. And as I was shaking and trembling, I fell down on my face and saw in a vision. And behold, there was a second house, larger than the other, all whose doors stood open before me, and it was built with a tongue of fire. And in all things it excelled in grandeur and magnificence and size, so that I cannot describe to you its magnificence and its size. Its floor was fire, and above it was lightning and the course of the stars, and its ceiling was also a flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a high throne. Its appearance was like the hoarfrost, and its circuit was like a shining sun, and voices of the cherubim. And from under the great throne came streams of flaming fire, and it was impossible to look at. And he who is great in majesty sat thereon. His garment shone more brilliantly than the sun, and was whiter than any hail. None of the angels were able to enter, nor any flesh to look upon the form of the face of the majestic and honored one. Fire of flaming fire was around him, and a great fire stood before him, and none of those who were around him could approach him. 10,000 times 10,000 were before him, but he required not any holy counsel. And the holy ones who were near him did not leave day or night, nor did they depart from him. And I had so long a veil upon my face, and I trembled, and the Lord called me with his own voice, and said to me, Come hither, Enoch, and to my holy word. And he caused me to arise, and I went to the door, but I bent my face downwards. Chapter 15. And he answered and spoke to me with his word, Hear, and fear not, Enoch, thou just man and scribe of justice. Approach hither, and hear my words. And go, say to the watchers of heaven who have sent thee, that thou shouldst petition for them. Ye should petition for men, and not men for you. Why have ye left the high, holy, and everlasting heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughter of men, and taken wives unto yourselves, and acted like the children of earth, and begotten giants as sons? While ye were spiritual, holy, having eternal life, ye defiled yourselves with women, and with the blood of flesh have begotten children, and have lusted after the blood of men, and have produced flesh and blood, as they produce, who die and are destroyed. Therefore I have given them wives, that they might impregnate them, and children be born by them, as it is done on earth. Ye were formerly spiritual, living an eternal life without death to all the generations of the world. Therefore I have not made for you any wives, for spiritual beings have their home in heaven. And now the giants, who have been begotten from body and flesh, will be called evil spirits on earth, and their dwelling places will be upon the earth. Evil spirits proceed from their bodies, because they are created from above, their beginning and first basis being from the holy watchers. They will be evil spirits upon the earth, and will be called evil spirits. But the spirits of heaven have their dwelling places in heaven, and the spirits of the earth, who were born on the earth, have their dwelling places on earth. And the spirits of the giants, who cast themselves upon the clouds, will be destroyed and fall, and will battle and cause destruction on the earth, and do evil. They will take no kind of food, nor will they become thirsty, and they will be invisible. And these spirits will not rise up against the children of men and against the women, because they have proceeded from them in the days of murder and destruction. Chapter 16. And of the death of the giants, when the spirits have proceeded from their bodies, their flesh shall decay without judgment. Thus they shall be destroyed till that day, when the great judgment over all the great world shall be completed over the watchers and the impious. And now to the watchers who have sent thee, that thou shouldst petition for them who were formerly in heaven, say, Ye have been in heaven, and though the secrets were not yet revealed to you, still ye knew illegitimate mysteries, and these ye have, in the hardness of your hearts, related to the women. And through these mysteries women and men increase wickedness over the earth. Tell them, therefore, ye have no peace. Section 4. Chapter 17. And they took me to a place where there were images like flaming fire, and when they wished they appeared like men. And he led me to the place of the whirlwind, and on a hill, the point of whose summit reached to heaven, and I saw shining places, and the thunder at the ends thereof, in the depths thereof a bow of fire, and arrows, and their quiver, and a sword of fire, and all lightning. And they took me to the so-called water of life, and to the fire of the west, which receives every setting of the sun. And I came to a river of fire, whose fire flows like water, and is emptied into a great sea which is towards the west. And I saw all the great rivers, and came to a great darkness, and went where all flesh wanders. And I saw the mountains of the black clouds of winter, and the place whither all the waters of the deep flow. And I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth, and the mouth of the deep. Chapter 18. And I saw the repositories of all the winds, and I saw how he had ornamented all the creation, and the foundations of the earth with them. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth, and I saw the four winds which support the earth, and the firmament of the heavens. And I saw how the winds expand the heights of the heavens, and they remain between heaven and earth, and they are pillars of heaven. And I saw the winds which turn the heavens, which lead down the course of the sun and all the stars. And I saw the winds upon the earth which carry the clouds, and I saw the paths of the angels. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of the heavens above, and I proceeded towards the south, and it burns day and night, there where 7 hills of precious stones are, 3 towards the east, 3 towards the south. But of those towards the east, 1 of colored stone, 1 of pearls, and 1 of antimony, and those towards the south of red stone. But the middle one reached up to heaven, like the throne of God, of alabaster, and the summit of the throne of sapphire. And I saw a burning fire, which was in all the hills. And there I saw a place beyond the great earth. There the waters collected. And I saw a great abyss in the earth, with columns of heavenly fire. And I saw among them columns of heavenly fire which fall, and are without number, either towards the height or towards the depth. And over that abyss I saw a place which had no firmament of heaven above it, and no foundation of earth beneath it, and no water above it, and no birds upon it. It was a void place. And there I saw a terrible thing, 7 stars, like great burning mountains, and like spirits that petitioned me. The angel said, "This is the place of the consummation of heaven and earth. It is a prison for the stars of heaven and for the host of heaven. And the stars that roll over the fire are they who have transgressed the command of God before their rising, because they did not come forth in their time. And he was enraged at them, and bound them till the time of the consummation of their sins in the year of the mystery." Chapter 19. And Uriel said to me, "Here will stand the souls of those angels who have united themselves with women, and having assumed many different forms, have contaminated mankind, and have led them astray, so that they brought offerings to the demons as to gods, namely, on the day when the great judgment, on which they will be judged, shall be consummated. And their women, having led astray the angels of heaven, will be like their friends. And I, Enoch, alone saw this vision, the ends of all, and no man has seen them as I have seen them." Chapter 20. And these are the names of the holy angels who watch: Uriel, one of the holy angels, the angel of thunder and trembling; Raphael, one of the holy angels, the angel of the spirits of men; Raguel, one of the holy angels, who takes vengeance on the earth and the luminaries; Michael, one of the holy angels, namely, set over the best portion of men, over the people; Sarachiel, one of the holy angels, who is over the spirits of the children of men, and who induce the spirits to sin; Gabriel, one of the holy angels, who is over the serpents, and over the paradise and the cherubim. Chapter 21. And I went around to a place where not one thing took place, and I saw there something terrible, no high heavens, no founded earth, but a void place, awful and terrible. And there I saw 7 stars of heaven, tied together to it, like great mountains, and flaming as if by fire. At that time I said, "On account of what sin are these bound, and why have they been cast hither?" And then answered Uriel, one of the holy angels, who was with me, conducting me, and said to me, "Enoch, concerning what dost thou ask, and concerning what dost thou inquire, and ask, and art anxious? These are of the stars who have transgressed the command of God, the highest, and are bound here till 10,000 worlds. The number of the days of their sins shall have been consummated." And from there I went to another place which was still more terrible than the former, and I saw a terrible thing. A great fire was there which burned and flickered and appeared in sections. It was bounded by a complete abyss, Great columns of fire were allowed to fall into it. Its extent and size I could not see, and I was unable to see its origin. At that time I said, "How terrible this place is, and painful to look at." At that time answered Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me. He answered and said to me, "Enoch, why such fear and terror in thee concerning this terrible place, and in the presence of this pain?" And he said to me, "This is the prison of the angels, and here they are held to eternity." Section 5, Chapter 22. And from here I went to another place, and he showed me in the west a great and high mountain chain, and hard rocks, and 4 beautiful places. And beneath them there were places deep and broad and entirely smooth as if a thing were rolled, and deep and dark to look at. And this time Raphael, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered and said to me, "These beautiful places are intended for this, that upon them may be assembled the spirits, the souls of the dead, for they have been created, that here all the souls of the sons of men might be assembled. These places have been made their dwellings till the day of their judgment, and to their fixed period, and this period is long, till the great judgment will come over them. And I saw the spirits of the children of men who had died, and their voices reached up to heaven and lamented. At that time I asked the angel Raphael, who was with me, and said to him, "Whose soul is that one whose voice thus reaches to heaven and laments?" And he answered and said to me, saying, "That is the spirit that proceeded from Abel, whom his brother Cain slew, and it laments on his account till his seed be destroyed from the face of the earth, and his seed disappear from among the seed of men." And at that time I therefore asked concerning him, and concerning the judgment of all, and said, "Why is one separated from the other?" And he answered and said to me, "These 3 apartments are made in order to separate the souls of the dead, and thus are the souls of the just separated. There is a spring of water above it light, and thus also is one such apartment made for the sinners when they die, and are buried in the earth, without a judgment having been passed upon them during their lives. Here their souls are separated in this great affliction until the great day of judgment, and punishment and affliction upon the revilers to eternity, and the vengeance for their souls, and here he binds them to eternity. And if it was before eternity, then this apartment has been made for the souls of those who lament, and those who reveal their destruction when they were killed in the days of the sinners. And thus it has been created for the souls of men who were not just, but sinners, who were complete in their crimes, and they will be with criminals like themselves, but their souls will not be killed on the day of judgment, and will not be taken from here. At that time I blessed the Lord of glory, and said, "Blessed is my Lord, the Lord of glory and of justice, who rules all things to eternity." Chapter 23. And from there I went to another place towards the west, and to the ends of the earth, and I saw a flaming fire which ran without resting, and did not cease from its course day or night, but continued regularly. And I asked, saying, "What is that which has no rest?" At that time answered Raguel, one of the holy angels who was with me, and said to me, "That burning fire which thou seest, running towards the west, is the fire of all the luminaries of heaven." Chapter 24. And from there I went to another place of the earth, and he showed me a mountain chain of fire which flamed day and night, and I went towards it, and saw 7 magnificent mountains, each one different from the other, and magnificent and beautiful rocks, everything magnificent and fine in appearance and of beautiful surface. 3 towards the east, one founded upon the other, and 3 towards the south, one founded upon the other, and ravines, deep and winding, not one joining with the other. And the 7th hill was between these, and in their heights they were all like the seats of a throne, and surrounded with fragrant trees. And among them was a tree such as I had never smelt before, neither among these nor among others, nor was there a fragrance like its. Its leaves and buds and wood do not wither in eternity. Its fruit is beautiful, like the fruit of the vine and the palm tree. And at that time I said, Behold, this is a beautiful tree, and beautiful to look at, and its leaves are fair, and its fruit very pleasant to the eye. At that time answered Michael, one of the holy and honored angels, who was with me, who was over them. Chapter 25. And he said to me, Enoch, what dost thou ask me concerning the fragrance of this tree, and dost seek to know? Then I, Enoch, answered him, saying, Concerning all things I desired to know, but especially concerning this tree. And he answered me, saying, This high mountain which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of God, is the throne where the holy and great God of glory, the eternal King, will sit when he shall descend to visit the earth with goodness. And this tree of beautiful fragrance cannot be touched by any flesh until the time of the great judgment, when all things will be atoned for and consummated for eternity. This will be given to the just and humble. From its fruits, life will be given to the chosen. It will be planted towards the north, in a holy place, towards the house of the Lord, the eternal King. Then they will rejoice greatly and be glad in the Holy One. They will let its fragrance enter their members, and live a long life upon the earth, as thy fathers lived. And in their days no sorrow, or sickness, or trouble, or affliction will touch them. Then I blessed the Lord of glory, the eternal King, because he had prepared such for the just men, and had created such, and said he would give it to them. Chapter 26. And from here I went to the middle of the earth, and saw a place, blessed and fruitful, where there were branches which rooted in and sprouted out of a tree that was cut. And here I saw a holy mountain, and beneath the mountain, towards the east, water which flowed towards the south. And I saw towards the east another mountain of the same height, and between them a deep valley, but not broad. Therein also water flowed along the mountain. And towards the west of this was another mountain, lower than the former, not high, and below, between them a valley. And other deep and sterile valleys were at the end of the 3. And all the valleys were deep and not broad, of hard rock, and trees were planted upon them. And I was astonished on account of the rocks, and was astonished on account of the valley, and was very much astonished. Chapter 27. Then I said, For what purpose is this blessed land, which is entirely filled with trees, and this cursed valley between them? Then answered Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, and said to me, This cursed valley is for those who will be cursed to eternity, and here will be assembled all those who have spoken with their mouths unseemly words against God, and speak insolently of his glory. Here they will be assembled, and here will be their judgment. And in the latter days there will be the spectacle of a just judgment upon them in the presence of the just, in eternity forever. For this reason, they who have found mercy will bless the Lord of glory, the eternal King. And in the days of their judgment they will bless him for his mercy, according to which he has assigned them their lot. Then I blessed the Lord of glory, and spoke to him, and remembered his greatness, as it is fitting. Chapter 28. And from here I went towards the east, into the midst of the mountains of the desert, and saw only a plain. But it was filled with trees of this seed, and water dropped down over it from above. It was seen that the water which it sucked up was strong, as towards the north, so towards the west, and as in all places, so water and dew also ascended from here. Chapter 29. And I went to another place, away from the desert, approaching the east of the mountains, and there I saw trees of judgment, especially those that emitted the fragrance of frankincense and myrrh, and they were not like ordinary trees. Chapter 30. And above, over these, over the eastern mountain, not far off, I saw another place, valleys with water that does not dry up. And I saw a beautiful tree, and its fragrance was like that of a mastic. And along the edges of these valleys, I saw fragrant cinnamon, and I advanced over these towards the east. Chapter 31. And I saw another mountain in which were trees from which water flowed, and it flowed like nectar, which is called Cerera and Galbanum. And over this mountain I saw another mountain on which were aloe trees, and these trees were full of hard substance like almonds, and in taking that fruit it was better than all the odors. Chapter 32. And after these odors, as I looked towards the north, over the mountains, I saw 7 mountains full of pleasant nard, and fragrant trees, and cinnamon, and pepper. And from here I went over the summits of those mountains, far towards the east, and passed far above the Erythraean Sea, and went far from it, and passed over the angel Zutel. And I came into the garden of justice, and I saw the mingled diversity of those trees. Many and large trees are planted there, of attractive beauty, and large and beautiful and magnificent. Also the tree of wisdom. Eating of it, one learns great wisdom. It is like the carob tree. Its fruit is like the grape, very good. The fragrance of this tree goes out and is spread far. And I said, This tree is beautiful. How beautiful and pleasant to look at. Then the holy angel Raphael, who was with me, answered and said to me, This is the tree of wisdom, from which thy old father and thy aged mother, who were before thee, ate, and they learned wisdom, and their eyes were opened, and they learned that they were naked and were driven out of the garden. Chapter 33. And from here I went to the ends of the earth, and saw great animals there, and one differed from the other, and the birds differed as to their appearance. Their beauty and voices, one differed from the other. And to the east of these animals I saw the ends of the earth, where the heavens rest, and the portals of the heavens open. And I saw where the stars come out from heaven, and I counted the portals out of which they come. And I wrote down all their outlets, each one according to their number and their names, their connections and their positions and their times and their months, as the angel Uriel, who was with me, showed them to me. He showed all things to me and wrote them down for me. Also their names he wrote for me, and their laws and their deeds. Chapter 34. And from here I went towards the north, to the ends of the earth,